And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new #1 issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is for books coming out on August 20th, 2025. And I just got to say, it's good to be back. Good to be back in the swing of things. Got last week's under my belt after that long hiatus, unintended hiatus, and everything. I felt a little off last week. Things weren't flowing as well as I would like. The internet was kind of a little bit spotty, so hopefully this week goes better. I'm feeling better about it. Yeah, so we've got a lot more books to talk about this week as well. And I read quite a few, more than I usually do. So I read 5 of the first. I'm only going to talk about 4 of them. I didn't get to read like the most important ones to me anyway, which would be Space Ghost and Power Rangers TMNT. But I'm hoping that we'll get to talk about those on Comic Book Weekly, which is returning soon. I don't want to officially put a date out there because we haven't confirmed it within our group to make sure that that's still going to happen. But soon it returns, so we'll see what happens come next week. But for now, we got some books to talk about this week, and of course, we're going to start with those first issues from this week that came out this week that I talked about on the show last week. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Quick Stops. I think it's volume 3, issue 1. This is Chasing Amy. This is the comic that Holden McNeil wrote about Alyssa, or Amy, and his meeting her, falling in love with her, they're falling out and all the thing. If you saw the movie Chasing Amy, you get the gist of it. This is the comic about that, and I feel like it lived up to the hype. It was in the spirit of things. The characters felt very in tune with, I mean, obviously it's, same creators behind it all, but it's been so many years since that when you revisit something, it doesn't always have the same kind of feel to it always. And in this particular case, I feel like it was a perfect extension of that film. I think it was a little bit abrupt. That would be my one, complaint, because it's all told through narration. There is a little bit of dialogue, live dialogue here and there, but it's mostly narrated. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, I guess, character work, but it was just kind of like a tribute. It was like a, hey, remember this cool thing that we did? This is part of that, and remember all the good times you had with this movie when you saw it. Yeah, we're just kind of reminding you of that and all that stuff. So that's kind of what it was. It was just a little tribute to the film, I think. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Chasing Amy. So if you like that movie, you'll probably like this comic, and like me, you'll probably wish there was more to it. But it was a fun read. Next, I'm going to talk about Valiant Beyond Bloodshot, issue #1. Now, this is the start of the new universe, the new line of Valiant books. It's in their Beyond universe, much like Marvel's Ultimate Universe or DC's Absolute Universe. This is Valiant's Beyond universe. So it's it's the same characters, but in a completely different world where things are a little bit different. In this case, the origin story is very similar. Bloodshot is, experimented on, or this character, I think is it Roy? I think his name is Roy. He's experimented on, and his memory is wiped after every mission, but little bits and pieces seep in here and there and all this stuff. In this particular one, he is sent on a mission to fight Yakuza in Japan, but they're not just Yakuza, they're vampires as well. So and on top of that, they have somehow gotten a hold of a little sample of his blood, and they inject it like a drug, and it gives them temporary powers like his. And so he has to combat these vampires and stuff. And by the end of the issue, something happens to him that was unexpected. Now he's kind of in the thick of it, and we have to see where it goes from there. Bloodshot is one of those characters that you either really like him or you really don't. He's a kind of polarizing character. I feel like at least in the people that I've talked to in comic groups that I've seen, in conversations I've seen online and stuff, it's one of those characters that you really find yourself enjoying his stories, or you just don't read them at all. And I've typically fallen into the group of not reading them at all. I try Bloodshot every time there's a new number one, and for whatever reason, even from back in the 90s when the original Valiant universe was active, for whatever reason, Bloodshot was one of those characters I could not get into. I just, I don't know. There was something about his character that didn't resonate with me back then. Now, to be fair, at the time, I wasn't into characters like Lobo and Punisher and things like that. So I thought maybe that's had something to do with it. But when Valiant relaunched, he was the one character that I didn't really gravitate towards. Him and another book I'll talk about in a little bit, which is a Shadowman. Those are the two characters of the new Valiant that I just wasn't as interested in as I was in some of the other characters, for whatever reason that may be. But this particular issue, I actually found myself enjoying. I liked this take on Bloodshot. It's not the first Bloodshot book that I've liked, but it's the first one in a while. And even though it's in a different universe, it's a very similar vibe to other Bloodshot stuff that I've read. But you're entering supernatural forces here. You're kind of twisting the plot in a slightly different direction. So I kind of like that, and I found myself curious to find out what happens to him after the end of this issue. So I'll definitely come back for a second issue. Maybe this is the universe that I'll find myself enjoying more within Valiant. Remains to be seen, but I did like this first issue. Next up, we're going to talk about Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum, issue 1. This is a limited Black Label series, so it's not in continuity. This is with, who is this written by? Totally forgotten who it was written by. This is written by, I just lost it. W. Maxwell Prince, who I'm not familiar with, but the artist is Martin Morazzo, who has done several Image titles. I'm familiar with Martin. I've actually almost worked with Martin years and years ago. He did some character sketches for me way back when, and I've kind of followed his career a little bit. So definitely a different style of art for this kind of book. He's usually more on slice of life kind of, well, not slice of life, but non-superhero-ish kind of books, like more I don't know, more like there was one on at Image about plastic. It wasn't the book Plastic, but I remember it having something to do with like plastic bottles and stuff. I don't remember what the book was called, but it was more like take all the like superhero stuff, supernatural stuff, powers and all that stuff out of it, more real issues. That's the kind of books that I typically see him on. So I was surprised to see him on a Superman book of all things. So definitely a different style, and it gave it a more I don't want to say down to earth, because it is still a stylistic art style, but it gave it more of a relatable, like they didn't feel larger than life. You could kind of connect with them. Batman was a little bit skinny. Superman, his expressions were like over exaggerated, so it was just a different vibe for this character, for this book. And this book was mostly, I mean, there was some action in it, but it was mostly about Batman and Superman studying these new forms of kryptonite and just kind of having conversations. There is a scene where they're fighting a supervillain. It's a short scene, but because of the way that the kryptonite behaves in this particular issue, it kind of made sense to have an art style like this, because it made things kind of wonky for Superman. I won't give away what it does, but basically they find 4 new types of kryptonite: purple, cobalt, speckled, and rainbow. And they have no idea what these kryptonites do. So Superman decides to test them on himself, causing Batman for help. They have an argument about it. Ultimately, Superman gets his way, and we start with purple. and purple is the one that we test here, and the effects of that are felt for Superman throughout the issue, and he has to kind of piece that all together and figure out, how to fight while he's under the influence of whatever happens to him. I don't want to give it away. Obviously, this is probably going to be a 4-issue series. Every issue is going to cover a different, different one of the new Kryptonite variations. And meanwhile, Lex Luthor is aware of these, and he's trying to get a hold of them so he can take out Superman, yada yada. So I thought it was a fun first issue. It probably wouldn't be my cup of tea, generally speaking. It's just one of those. I mean, obviously, it's not in continuity, which, that's fine if it's a really good story. I do like the exploration of different types of kryptonite. I think that's interesting. I think it's kind of cool. I would like to see if that carries over to the main universe or the absolute universe, or some other place besides Black Label. I think it's a fun idea to kind of play with that. And I thought that they had a lot of fun with the structure of this story and the way that it affected them. But if this is just for this book, I don't know if it was enough to keep me coming back to find out what they do, as opposed to just like reading, oh, that's what that one did, later on, after they all come out. I don't know. But it was fun. It just, I don't know if it was for me or not. So that's the way I feel about that one. And finally, we have Predator Kills the Marvel Universe, issue 1. This is also a mini series. I thought maybe it would be a oversized one shot, but it is a mini series. It does continue. This one starts off brutal. I will warn you, if you've not read any of the previous ones, this does tie them all together, and it's kind of the culmination of all of those. So I did not read the Black Panther one. I did read the Spider-Man one. I can't remember what the other one was, but I've read some of them, not all of them, and I don't think you need to have read them because they do reference that, but I think it will enhance your experience with this one. But we start off with the Guardians of the Galaxy in this issue, and very violent things happen, and then we jump to the Fantastic Four. As you can see from the cover, that's no secret. Basically, what happened in Spider-Man was Kraven kind of befriended the Predators, and so now he is with the Predators, and they're trying to take over the Earth. So he is kind of leading them to the strongest threats on this world that they can take out, and they take out some people in very gruesome fashion, and it kind of sets the tone right away from the jump that this is going to be violent and the Predators might just win. So that's very interesting. And I kind of like that they're pushing the envelope there. Benjamin Percy's doing a fantastic job with this. I really enjoyed this issue, despite, what happened to some characters that I really love. But yeah, it's going to be a wild ride throughout this, and to see who survives this or what happens with this version of the Marvel Universe in the aftermath. But a really good read. I really like this one. But that's it for all the recaps. So we're going to jump into some honorable mentions. I've got 5 this week, and then a whole slew of first issues for this week. So here we go. First honorable mention this week is Venom, Black, White, and Blood. I don't read these Black, White, and Blood books, but if you have been reading them, if you're a fan, go check it out. It is I'll just read the first sentence here. It's a collection of Venom stories from across the history of the symbiote. Begins here, all rendered in Venom's own black and white and red. It's David Michelini and Jonas Scarf are the first team. You got J.M. DeMatteis and Dave Wachter with an Eddie Brock story. Ryan North and Chris Lee do another one. So several stories in a black and white style. If you're a fan of these books, go check this one out. The next honorable mention is Event Horizon Dark Descent. This is from IDW. It's a new comic horror story set in the universe of the terrifying cult classic film Event Horizon. If you're a big fan of Event Horizon, you like tie-in comic books to those franchises, this might be one to check out from IDW. I'm sure I've seen Event Horizon, but I don't recall what it's about or anything. It's been a while if I have. But this is by Christian Ward. He's the writer, and artist Tristan Jones. So that's Event Horizon Dark Descent. Next is Adventure Time, the Bubbling College Special. So again, huge fans of Adventure Time. My wife actually has worked on Adventure Time before in the past, not this issue, not this book, but this is actually from cartoonist Caroline Cash. And if you're a huge fan of Adventure Time, this is an alternate universe story, and yeah, check this one out. Next up, we have Resident Alien, The Book of Changes, issue 1. This is from Dark Horse Comics. There was a TV show based on this comic. It just got canceled recently, I think after 4 seasons. I've watched the first, I think, 2 seasons. Lisa kind of got me into it. It's Alan Tudyk stars in the TV series. I like the TV series. I've not read the comics. I've seen them. I may have tried out an issue of one of the previous miniseries that Dark Horse puts out, various miniseries of this property from time to time, but I like the concept of it. I think I like the show a little bit better than the comic personally, but if you're a big fan of the comic, you might want to check this new volume out, which is Resident Alien, The Book of Changes. And finally, for our shout outs or honorable mentions, whatever you want to call them, we have TMNT Journeys, issue number 1. This is a lost piece of TMNT history brought back to life. This is written and illustrated by Peter Laird, also illustrated by Jim Lawson. And yeah, this is going back in time for that original TMNT run and bringing forth a lost story, I guess, from that iconic run of TMNT. So if you're a huge TMNT fan, you like to get all the various books in the franchise, definitely pick this one up as well. That's all our honorable mentions, so we're going to get into those rated books. All right, as promised, first up, we have Valiant Beyond, Tales of the Shadowman, issue number 1. I mentioned this earlier, that this was one of the characters that I had trouble getting into in the Valiant universe, but because this is the Beyond universe, I might give this one a shot. Maybe it'll hit differently, just like the Bloodshot one did. I'm kind of, low-key excited about it. This one is written by it claims it's a fan favorite team. I'm not familiar with the team, but apparently they are behind Shadowman's Soul Eater. So if you like that one, you'll probably like this one. But I apologize if I butcher these names, because I'm probably going to. But the writer is AJ Amparo, and the artist is Sergio Manis. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce either one of those. I apologize for that. But in this version, it's still in New Orleans, and there's a woman who has to call upon the mysterious being known as the Shadowman, because there is a monster, a very dangerous monster, rampaging through the city, and that's the only way to stop him is to call out Shadowman. So we're going to see how that goes. So it's still leaning very heavily into like voodoo and the supernatural side of New Orleans in this story. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this one hits different for me. I'm excited to try out at least one issue of all of these Valiant Beyond books. For this one, I'm going to give it a possibly good, just again because of my history with the character. Next up is Kill or Be Killed, issue number 1 from AWA, not to be confused with the Image series of the same name. I believe it was the same name years ago. Not the same property or creative team. This is actually written by Peter Tierez with art by Mike Choi. And this seems like the concept for like a kind of a jump scare horror movie. Basically, you're in your home, your phone rings, and to one of your like relatives, one of your family members, your child, your wife, whatever, is in trouble, in danger, and to save them, you have to live stream it so everyone can see what you've done. and you have to kill to save them. And that's kind of what this is. It's taken like the social media aspect of everything to a whole other level, to where it's kind of like Saw, but everybody sees, instead of, or like some of those TV shows or movies you see where they have like these private streams where people are murdering each other and that kind of thing. So it's kind of that conceptually, but in a different, told in a different way. It's kind of an interesting concept, actually. This sounds pretty interesting to me, and I'll definitely try out the first issue. It's calls it a twisted game here. It's this guy called the Friendship Killer, or girl. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. No, it does say he. He's known as the Friendship Killer. And one of his victims decides to fight back and expose him. So we're going to see how that plays out. So it sounds pretty interesting to me. So I'm going to give this one a potentially good, and hopefully that first issue will be really entertaining. Next up is Marvel All on One issue number 1. This is a 50-page book that is told completely in splash pages, which is interesting. Experimental kind of thing. And it's 60. Actually, it says 50-page epic, but it's a 64-page book for $7.99. Keep that in mind. It's an anniversary issue. So, and it says Ben Grimm takes on the entire planet in this special Marvel anniversary issue, and it's just 50 pages of splash pages of the Thing taking on various villains, I guess. So interesting. Okay, I don't know what to expect from that. I don't even know if I'm gonna pick this one up, but definitely one that I had to mention, had to talk about. I'm gonna give it a possibly good. At the very least, you're probably gonna get some really cool art in this book. So if you're a fan of the Thing, or if you just you like Marvel art, you want to have some cool images to look at, check this one out. I don't know, possibly good for me. Next up from Mad Cave is Eat Your Young, issue number 1. This is about a family of immortals, and once every, I think it's once every 100 years, there is a 27-day period where these family members can decide to basically rip the heart out of their father and steal his immortality. So that's kind of why I guess that's why it's called that. And you have various different types of characters in this. You got a serial killer, a vigilante, a punk rocker, billionaire, futurist, etc., all vying for this gift of immortality. So yeah, that's going to make dinner time really interesting for this family. Sounds kind of interesting. Don't know, we'll have to see how it plays out. The art is kind of interesting, for if that's the interior art that we're seeing on the cover there. It's kind of interesting to see that kind of art style for that dark of a story. So there's going to be a little bit of a juxtaposition there. That's kind of fun. So yeah, it could be a fun read. I'm going to give this one a potentially good, because it sounds like it, depending on how it's done, how it's framed and everything, it could be a really interesting read. Next up is Detective Comics issue 1100. And the reason this one is on here, because again, it's another kind of anniversary issue, or not really anniversary issue. It's like what do you call it? It's I don't know. It's just one of those milestone issues, right? Because it's 1100 issues. And it's an oversized book. It is 56 pages, $5.99. Tom Taylor, Mikhail Janin in there, and it's celebrating, of course, Batman. So you're going to have, all kinds of writers and artists involved in this book, giving you different stories featuring Batman. Presumably, we got Mariko Tamaki in there. Excuse me. Let's see what other creators we got. We get Dan Waters, Greg Rucka. On the art side, Bill Sienkiewicz, already mentioned Mikhail Janin. Yeah, various others. You can see them on the screen there. So that's pretty cool. If you're a big Batman fan, if you're a fan of any of those creators, this will be one to check out. Hopefully, it's not just throwaway stories. Hopefully, something ties in somewhere. I don't know, but that's the one problem. My one nitpick with the anniversary issues like this is because nothing means anything to the larger universe. It's just these little stories and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's still a pretty cool milestone and probably one you want to have in your collection. So for me, um, because of the nature of these, I'll give it a potentially good, just because there's probably at least one or two stories that are going to be pretty good in it. There usually are. So potentially good for me. Next up from Image Comics is the latest Rick Remender comic. This is called Escape, issue number 1. Daniel Acuna on art, and so I really like this creative team, but the premise of it isn't necessarily the type of story that I would gravitate towards. I'll probably try it out just because it is Remender and Acuna, and I like them both. Um, but it's it's a war story kind of thing. This guy gets caught behind enemy lines, and less than 24 hours. It says, let's see. He's in the smoldering ruins of a city he helped burn, and in less than 24 hours, his own side is dropping the big one to finish the job. So now he is stuck behind enemy lines. He knows it's about to be destroyed, and he's got to find a way out. And in the meanwhile, he comes across civilians that he's got to, feels obligated to save, I assume, and stuff like that. So, kind of a moral dilemma along the way, I guess, and um, seeing the situation from the perspective of the other side as he's trying to get out, find his way out. So that could be interesting. It's probably going to be a character study type of piece. So for that alone, I think it's probably worth the read. I don't love war stories. It's just not my cup of tea. So I don't tend to gravitate towards them. But again, I like this creative team, so I'll probably try out the first issue and or at least look through it and see if I like it. It says it's set. Oh, and it's anthropomorphic, which is kind of interesting, especially coming off Sacrificers. Set in a brutal, fully painted world of anthropomorphic animals. Think Inglorious Bastards meets Black Sad. So that's pretty interesting and compelling description of it. So I'm gonna give it a potentially good. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll win me over. Then we come to all new Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider issue number 1, brand new volume of this Legacy issue 76. Stephanie Phillips still writing this series with art by Pablo Villanelli. So Stephanie's been writing the Spider-Gwen stuff for a while now, and I from what I gather, it's kind of polarizing. Some people like it, some people are okay with it, other people don't like it. So it's kind of one of those that kind of hits all over the place. For me personally, it's not the absolute best Spider-Gwen stuff I've read, but it is. I've been enjoying it. I've actually really liked it. So I'm excited to see Stephanie Phillips continue on with this story. Now she's fully set in this world. She's got a new costume, and she's starting a new band. So we're going to see some of those elements from her world kind of bleed over into the 616 world. And as she starts to actually live her life a little bit here, instead of having to work for like the TVA and all that stuff. So now she's, kind of doing her own thing, which I think is fun. So yeah, it says she's settling into Earth 616 to stay. So this is a thing we're going to continue going with, and hopefully now we can build upon those things. And now that we are past the TVA stuff and past the Tarantula stuff, maybe we can move on to something else for Spider-Gwen. And yeah, I'm excited to see what is in store for her. So I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. Then we have Justice League Red issue number 1. This is one that I didn't know was coming, and I'm not sure how to feel about it. This is by Saladin Ahmed, who wrote Miles Morales volumes that I wasn't a huge fan of, so I'm kind of on the fence about this one. And also, it's the concept behind this is focused mostly on Red Tornado and all the secrets he knows about the Justice League, because he runs the Watchtower and everything, and how he can use those against them, I guess. It says, I'll just read a little bit of this. It says, the Justice League has a new spec ops team so covert the founders can't know it exists. That part is interesting. I think that's pretty cool, especially given the characters that we have on the cover here. Power Girl, Cyborg, Simon Baz is their Dead Man. So I think it's an interesting team that they put together for this. A lot of characters they didn't know what to do with them in other books, obviously, but they're still kind of interesting characters thrown together. And Red Tornado is watching, projecting into the future, yada yada. But it says when Justice League ID cards light up red, Tornado needs you for the fate of humanity and for yourself because you don't want to find out what Red can do with what he knows about you. So that leads me to believe that his information is going to be used in some way against the other Justice League members or something. I don't know. It seemed like this team is being put together to investigate or kind of keep, the law between the other Justice League members or something. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to play this. I'm curious about it. I'd like to try it out. I just don't know how I feel about it. So for this one, I'm going to give it a potentially good, and we'll see what happens with that first issue. And finally, we have Black Cat issue number 1. She's back in her own series once again. And I'm here for it. For the first time, it's not Jed MacKay writing it though. This is G. Willow Wilson, from Miss Marvel fame, Wonder Woman. I'm excited to see what G. Willow Wilson can do with Black Cat. And Gleb Melnikov, sorry, I said that wrong, is on art. I like Gleb's art style as well. So you've got a really great creative team on this with a character that I love. And she's turning into a hero here. She's fighting different villains. She's going up against the Lizard in this first issue. So that's kind of interesting. I'm sure we'll see Spider-Man cameos and stuff like that in here as well. So I'm actually excited about this one. I think it could be really good. But I'm really curious to see how G. Willow Wilson handles Black Cat's voice. Jed MacKay kind of set the tone for me for what Black Cat can be. So it's going to be hard to see somebody else, really take her on. But we'll see what she can do with her. So I'm going to give this one a promisingly good. And it's probably one of the ones I'm most looking forward to this week. And that is it for the first issue. So as usual, I will briefly mention a few other books that I'm looking forward to this week. Obviously, Absolute Universe is killing it. Absolute Batman issue number 11 sees the origin story of Bane. So I'm definitely excited to see that. And it also, kind of explains how he arrived in Gotham and all that stuff. So that could be really fun. Absolute Flash. I've really enjoyed this book. And now we're learning how all the rogues joined up with Project Olympus in this issue. So we're going to kind of go back in time and explore how each one of them became part of this group. So that's going to be fun as well. Exceptional X-Men number 12 finds Kitty Pryde missing. And so the team has to go figure out what happened to their teacher. Hyde Street issue number 8. We've seen Pranky kind of coming into his own over the past couple of issues. And his ulterior motives have started to come to light. So this issue is going to focus on him, but he needs X-Ray's help. So we're going to see those two interacting together once again. And it's been a while since that, so I'm excited for that. VR Troopers issue number 2. The first issue actually surprised me. I didn't think I would like it. I was never, into that kind of stuff when I was younger. That was more my brother's thing. But because of all the Power Ranger stuff that Boom does that they do really well, I tried it out and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was handled really well. It was a fun first issue, so I'm excited to read more of that. Invincible Universe Battle Beast issue number 4. I love everything Invincible. I am a little bit behind on this. I didn't read the last issue, and I'm not even sure I finished issue 2. I just fell behind on everything when I was moving. But I'm always excited for that. There's not much to the description here. All we know is that Battle Beast has arrived at Prince Salaka's homeworld. So we're going to see what goes on from there. Exquisite Corpses issue number 4. The first 3 issues of this have been really fun. This tournament, it's it's dark, it's gruesome, but it's been an interesting kind of journey to see who's gonna win, who's gonna advance in this tournament bracket and all that stuff. So I've been enjoying it, and yeah, I can't wait to read this one actually. And finally, G.I. Joe number 10. Anything G.I. Joe, you guys know I am all over it. And now we've got the Baroness versus CoverGirl. And meanwhile, we've got Cobra Commander and Destro's alliances kind of reaching a breaking point. So I'm always down for that. And exciting stuff happening all over the Energon universe. But that's it. That's all the books I got to talk about this week. Thanks for joining me once again as we talk about all these new number one issues and so forth. I hope you enjoy the comeback. I'm here, and hopefully I'll keep putting these out every week. If you did like it, consider giving it a thumbs up because it does help the channel, and consider hitting that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss any episodes of this or any other content on the channel. Of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics, or type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care, keep reading those comics, and I'll see you soon.